The sky cracked open without warning. Commander Rhea Kale stood motionless on the observation deck of Outpost Vega, her eyes fixed on the dark mass that hovered above Earth's upper atmosphere. It hadn't arrived with blaring alarms or grand declarations, just silence. It lingered there like an accusation, immense and unmoving, its surface unmarred by windows or insignia. No transmissions, no threats, no answers. Rhea's pulse quickened beneath the armored fabric of her suit. She had seen combat, had faced pirate fleets on Titan, brokered peace during the Martian water riots. But this was different. This wasn't chaos. This was precision, a presence so deliberate it made her feel like prey. "Any movement?" she asked, without turning. "No, Commander," replied Lieutenant Aaron, his voice clipped. "It's been stationary for 16 minutes. Energy readings are erratic, off the scale but contained." Rhea exhaled slowly, eyes narrowing. "They're watching us." Behind her, the command center buzzed with suppressed panic. Analysts whispered furiously over data feeds. Military officials barked protocols none believed would work. Earth's governments had already issued a joint alert, but even their unity sounded hollow in the shadow of the vessel. She turned away from the viewport and strode toward the holographic interface. With a swipe, she magnified the ship, if it could be called that. It wasn't built. It had grown. The curvature of its surface seemed organic, its symmetry unsettling. Beneath it, the ionosphere trembled like a drumhead under pressure. Then the flame flickered. It was barely perceptible at first. A low pulse, like a breath held too long, moving through every ley line and relay that connected to the sacred flame. Every sensor in the outpost flared red. "No, no, no, no," Rhea muttered, already moving. "Redirect satellite feeds to Site Sanctum. Now." The flame had burned for millennia, an ethereal core of light and memory nestled in the cradle of Earth's oldest volcano. No nation claimed it. No religion dared monopolize it. It was humanity's sacred constant, pulsing with warmth, stories, ancestry. Every child was taught the same truth. To touch the flame was to court extinction. And yet, the readings didn't lie. "They're tapping into it," Aaron said, horrified. "Somehow, from orbit, they're draining it." The room fell silent. Rhea clenched her jaw. "Give me a jump route to Sanctum. Full insertion team. We move now." The drop craft punched through the cloud belt, streaking toward the volcanic lands where the flame resided. As they descended, the world looked wrong. Rivers of fire split the earth where there were none before. The skies glowed orange as if mourning. Rhea sat at the front, her fingers wrapped tightly around her harness. Across from her, Sergeant Lyra Voss checked her rifle in silence, eyes glancing occasionally toward Rhea. There was something unspoken between them, history, maybe, trust born of bloodshed. "Sir," Lyra said softly, "if they've touched the flame." "I know," Rhea replied, "but we're not letting them take any more." The ramp dropped. The ground beneath the team was cracked obsidian, steaming from veins of molten light. In the distance, at the heart of the broken caldera, the flame flickered wildly, its once serene glow now strobing with pain. Beside it, no longer just an orbit, the alien vessel had descended. It was massive, nearly brushing the mountainside, and it was feeding. Tendrils of light extended from the ship to the flame, siphoning it like nectar from a flower. Rhea and her squad moved fast, flanking the edge of the caldera. She activated her scanner. Biometric signatures, electromagnetic distortions, no recognizable life signs. But the interference was overwhelming. "Commander," Lyra called out, "something's emerging." From the ship's underside, a being descended, humanoid in form, draped in something that shimmered like oil and shadow. It hovered inches above the ground. Its face was obscured by a smooth, silver mask. It didn't speak, but Rhea felt something in her, an invasive pressure behind her eyes, like someone rifling through her soul. "Fall back," she ordered, but it was too late. The being lifted a hand, and the world tilted. Pain exploded in her skull. She fell to her knees, memories tearing free. Her mother's laugh, her academy graduation, the first time she saw the flame as a child, all flaring into the open air and dissolving. Around her, others screamed, convulsed, collapsed. The entity wasn't just taking energy. It was taking memory. Rhea forced herself upright, blood in her mouth, and staggered forward. "You don't get to do this," she growled. "You don't get to erase us." She reached for the pulse rifle slung over her shoulder and fired. The blast struck the figure square in the chest. It staggered but didn't fall. Instead, it turned, slowly, and vanished into the tendrils of light. Then everything shattered. A shockwave burst from the flame, sending Rhea and her team flying. The vessel roared to life and rose with violent speed, vanishing back into clouds, leaving behind a wound in the world that bled fire and grief. The sacred had been defiled. As she crawled through ash and rubble, half her team gone, Rhea felt the flame flicker again, this time within her. It wasn't over. It had only begun. The smell of scorched air hung thick over the ruins of Sanctum. What had once been a sanctuary of silent reverence was now a wasteland of collapsed basalt, molten crevices, and ash-choked winds. Commander Rhea Kale stood at the edge of the crater where the sacred flame had once pulsed with warmth and light. Now it sputtered like a dying star, its glow erratic, corrupted. Her armor was torn at the shoulder, blood crusted beneath her jawline, but she barely noticed. She stared down into the hollow where the energy had been drained and felt the weight of it, the violation, the loss, the betrayal of the cosmos itself. The flame wasn't just a source of power. It was humanity's heartbeat. And someone had stolen a piece of it. Rhea's calm crackled. "We confirmed 217 casualties. Still pulling survivors from the outer sanctums. No contact from Alpha Unit." She closed her eyes. Alpha Unit had led the first approach. Brave, fast, incinerated. "We logged their names," she said quietly. "And we make them the first line of the reckoning." The voice on the other end didn't respond. Nothing needed to be said. Hours later, she stood in the mobile command shelter that had been set up on the outskirts of the blast zone. Holographic maps floated in the air around her, lines of data scrolling like whispers of a dying language. She stared at the pulse diagram of the flame, watching as the energy readings shifted from erratic to something else entirely, resistant. "They broke it," muttered Lieutenant Aaron, studying the same data, "and it's trying to rebuild itself. But it's not healing. It's changing," Rhea replied. He hesitated. "Changing into what?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But whatever becomes, it won't forget this." The tent's curtain flapped as someone stepped through, tall, narrow-shouldered, clad in a long coat woven with metallic thread. His skin shimmered faintly beneath the fabric, his eyes an unnatural gold. Rhea reached for her sidearm instinctively. "You're not on our roster." The man raised his hands, unarmed. "My name is Kael'rith. I'm not from here." Aaron moved to block him. "He's one of them." Kael'rith nodded. "I am Valari, but not of the ship that attacked you." Rhea kept her weapon trained on him. "So you're a defector?" "I'm an exile," he said. "I warned them not to take from the flame. They didn't listen." His voice carried no accent, but the way he spoke was deliberate, like each word had to pass through fire. Rhea lowered her gun slightly, not out of trust, but curiosity. There was something else in his eyes, regret, or perhaps shame. "Then why are you here?" "Because you will not survive what's coming without knowing what you're truly facing." He stepped closer to the hologram, gesturing toward the readings. "The flame is not only sacred to you. It was once part of something greater, something my people lost long before you ever discovered it. They believe it is a relic of their origin. They're right. But they are wrong." Rhea's jaw tensed. "You're telling me we've been protecting something that belonged to you?" "I'm telling you," Kael'rith said carefully, "that neither of us understands what the flame truly is. But they have started something they cannot stop, and now it will burn through everything." Silence settled between them, heavy and uneasy. Outside, the sky flickered with distant lightning, though no storms had been forecast. The world was already changing. "Assume I believe you," Rhea said. "What do we do?" He looked at her with something almost like sympathy. "You prepare for the reckoning." The flame surged again that night, an eruption of light, so bright it was visible from orbit. Across the globe, Ley lines glowed through city foundations and deep ocean trenches. Old tech reawakened. Machines built in worship of the flame began humming after centuries of silence. And in the sky, the Valari ship returned, this time not alone. 3 more vessels split the clouds above the equator, their exteriors glimmering like mirrors reflecting the planet's agony. At the edge of the ruined sanctum, Rhea watched the sky and realized the war hadn't begun when the flame was touched. It had begun now. The ground trembled beneath Rhea's boots as she marched through the corridor of the subterranean command nexus, deep beneath what remained of Berlin. Strategic Command had gone dark above ground, reduced to cinders in the first orbital barrage, and the survivors had relocated into the Earth's marrow. Here, concrete and steel coiled like the skeleton of a buried god, shielding what remained of coordinated resistance. She passed soldiers hunched over terminals, eyes red from exhaustion, voices low and clipped. The air was dry, heavy with recycled tension. A tremor rippled through the ceiling. Dust rained down, and no one even flinched. Kael'rith walked beside her in silence, his presence drawing wary stares. His silvery veins pulsed faintly in the low light, betraying the alien blood within. Yet he remained composed, almost serene, despite the weight of being both their warning and their possible doom. Rhea stopped at the war table, a live projection of Earth's surface strewn with markers, zones of conflict flaring in crimson. They're pushing through every continent. We've lost orbital control. EMPs are being deployed in waves. Our satellites are blind. They are not here to conquer, Kael'rith said, scanning the map. They are here to consume. The flame was only the first taste. They've already gutted our sacred sites, Rhea snapped. Temples, shrines, memorials, even cultural archives. Anything linked to memory, emotion. They're not just burning our world. They're erasing it. Kael'rith's eyes darkened, because emotion is power. To the Valari, memory is fuel, and Earth is steeped in it. Rhea looked down at the table, heart thundering. It all made sense now. The theft of the flame, the harvesting of grief and reverence. The war wasn't about territory. It was about meaning. Her fists clenched. They've turned our soul into a resource. He nodded. And they will keep feeding until you are hollow. The briefing chamber door slid open. Sergeant Lyra Voss entered, bruised, limping, but eyes burning with resolve. We found something, deep in the archives before they were hit. She tossed the data core onto the table. It flickered to life, displaying ancient diagrams, glyphs, and seismic readings. We thought the flame was the only one, Lyra said. But there are others, dormant, smaller, hidden. Kael'rith leaned in. Flame echoes, fragments of the same source. If we can reach them, Lyra continued, maybe we can activate them, use them. Kael'rith's gaze sharpened. You would risk awakening forces you cannot command. We don't have a choice, Rhea said. Every city they touch becomes ash. Every resistance point ends in silence. We need something they can't anticipate. Lyra pointed to a marked zone deep beneath the Sahara. This one's still untouched. Encrypted coordinates, buried in a tectonic vault for centuries. Rhea gave a single nod. We go in quiet. No fleet, no weapons broadcast. Just us and whoever we can trust. Kael'rith hesitated. If you awaken it, it may not recognize you as friend. Then we'll teach it, Rhea said. We'll teach it who we are. 2 days later, under a camouflage dropship in a blood-red sky, Rhea, Lyra, Kael'rith, and a hand-picked infiltration team dropped into the burning sands. The Sahara was no longer a desert in the conventional sense. Where there had once been dunes, now there were glass plains, charred rock, and strange monoliths, debris from the upper atmosphere, seeded from the invading ships. The entrance lay beneath a ruined loss of time, a spiral of obsidian stone buried beneath shifting tectonics. As the team descended, the air changed, thicker, charged, like breathing history. Lights flickered from cracks in the walls. Symbols glowed softly as they passed. Kael'rith moved with reverence, tracing glyphs with careful fingers. This place remembers, he whispered. It waits. The inner sanctum was a circular chamber, vast and echoing. At its center hovered a sphere of condensed light. smaller than the flame, but pulsing with a similar rhythm. Uncorrupted, unclaimed, Rhea stepped forward. The sphere pulsed in response, dimming, then glowing brighter as if syncing with her heartbeat. She reached toward it, and pain shot through her skull. Images flooded her. Oceans rising, stars dying, voices crying out across eons. Not just human voices. She stumbled back, gasping. "It's not just memory," she said. "It's lineage. It's alive," Kael'rith said solemnly. "A shard of the source. It sees you." Lyra drew closer. "Can we use it?" Kael'rith hesitated. "You can ask, but you must offer something in return." Rhea looked at the others, at the crumbling world above, at the flame inside her that still hadn't gone out. "Then we give it truth," she said. "Let it see all of us. Let it know what they took." She stepped forward again, this time not reaching with her hand, but with her mind. She opened herself, memories of home, her first love, every soldier she lost, every promise broken and kept. The pain, the joy, the fury. The sphere surged. A harmonic hum filled the chamber. The walls lit up, each glyph burning gold. Lyra shielded her eyes. "It's responding." Kael'rith stepped back, astonished. "You've awakened it. You've reminded it of its purpose." Rhea turned as the light swirled around her, her voice calm but resolute. "Then it's time to remind the Valari who they're dealing with." Above ground, the sky fractured with new light. This time not alien. This time it was Earth fighting back. The flame echo surged through the sky like a second sun, casting a golden tide over continents smothered in shadow. For the first time in weeks, the Valari ships recoiled. Their glimmering hulls, once untouchable, flickered with uncertainty. Some faltered in midair, their feeding tendrils retreating as if burned. Commander Rhea Kael stood atop a ridgeline of scorched stone near the Echo's activation site, armor streaked with ash and light. Her silhouette shimmered with residual energy, her eyes reflecting something more than human now. Memories no longer just hers, but carried, shared, guarded. Beside her, Kael'rith watched the trembling sky. "You've awakened more than the Echo. You've reminded this world it has a will." Rhea didn't respond immediately. Her fingers curled slightly, sensing the pulse still running under her skin. It didn't hurt. It hummed. She felt connected to the earth, to the flame, to every soul that had ever stood against ruin. Lyra approached from the base of the hill, her expression tight. "We got a clean signal to the Global Resistance Network. They're alive, barely, but they saw it. Everyone did." Rhea nodded. "Then it's time we stop reacting." "They'll come harder now," Kael'rith said. "The Valari have felt fear. It will not humble them. It will provoke them." "Let them come," Rhea said. "This time they bleed with us." Within hours, the air war reignited. Valari vessels dropped in lower, slower, lashing out at every energy spike. They began targeting emotion beacons, hospitals, art vaults, community halls, anywhere human presence gathered and resonated. But something had shifted, where before there had only been retreat. Now there was defiance. In New Delhi, an echo awakened beneath the Lotus Archives. In Patagonia, a submerged temple burst to life, wrapping its guardian city in a shield of liquid flame. Across the globe, the flame's fragments stirred from slumber, answering Rhea's signal, like old gods remembering their names. And everywhere they rose, people stood taller. Still, the cost was severe. Cities were razed. Skies stayed black with ash. For every victory, there were lives sacrificed in silence. Deep beneath what remained of Rio, Rhea convened with surviving command leaders. They were younger now, some barely past 20, but their resolve was forged in fire. Kael'rith stood among them, no longer a stranger, but a bridge between two collapsing worlds. "We can't hold all fronts," one commander admitted. "They're adapting. Every time we use an echo, they learn. They shift frequency, drain counterpulses. It's only a matter of time." Rhea placed her hand on the table. "Then we don't hold. We strike." The room stilled. Lyra stepped forward. "You want to hit the source." Kael'rith narrowed his gaze. "The heart ship. Rhea nodded. That's where it began. That's where it ends. We cut off their link to the source. We stopped the siphoning. Maybe we break their will entirely. It's suicide, someone whispered. No, Rhea said. It's the last truth we have to offer. Preparations began at once. Every echo that could be carried was encoded into crystalline nodes. Every pilot knew it was one way. Rhea's strike team assembled not for survival, but for meaning. The mission wasn't to kill the Valari. It was to show them who they had underestimated. On launch day, the skies burned. Flame-empowered ships, fused with memory tech and piloted by those who had nothing left to lose, broke through the stratosphere, weaving through enemy fire. Above, the Valari heartship loomed like a dark star, its hull pulsing with stolen light. Inside, it was worse. The ship wasn't made, it was grown. Rhea led her team through corridors that pulsed like veins, where every surface throbbed with echoes of the flame they had taken. She could feel it, trapped memory, inverted hope, entire histories drained and stored like power cells. Kael'rith moved with urgency. The core's near, but they're waiting. They should be, Rhea said. The Guardians were not soldiers, but construct of thought, Valari projections made flesh. They moved like smoke and sound, shifting between memories and form. Rhea's team faltered under their illusions, faces of lost loved ones and deepest fears used against them. But Rhea was no longer alone inside herself. She reached for the flame within and let it speak. Her voice roared, not just her own, but layered with hundreds, thousands, every ancestor who had ever stood before annihilation, and said no more. The illusion shattered. They reached the core, an orb of swirling memory, suspended in a cradle of bone and light. It pulsed with everything the Valari had stolen. Kael'rith turned to her. It must be unbound, but it will take you with it. Rhea looked at the team, at Lyra, who nodded once, tearless, at the others, who had followed her into the jaws of oblivion. She stepped forward, raised a final echo node, and drove it into the core. For a moment, time folded. And then release. The explosion was not heat or force, but memory. Every stolen soul returning to its origin. The heartship screamed in light, dissolving into a storm of fragments. Across the planet, Valari vessels powered by that link dropped from the sky. Inert, flames flickered back to purity. Silence followed. On Earth, survivors looked upward to see the stars again. In the void where the heartship once floated, a small shuttle drifted, its light still flickering. Inside, Rhea Kael breathed, barely. The flame within her dimmed, but not extinguished. She had given everything, yet something held her tethered. Kael'rith's voice echoed faintly in her mind. The reckoning was never the end. Commander, it was the beginning of your becoming. And far below, the earth began to heal.